Hi everybody, name is Bonisile, and welcome to another episode of FootyNotes podcast. Um, very slow week in terms of transfer action. If you're an Arsenal fan like myself, there's pretty much nothing at the moment. Arsenal are doing no business at all. Um, it would appear as the week comes to a close. Um, but you know, world of football is a gift that keeps on giving, and as a result, the news that broke yesterday and have been all over the internet since then until now. Lionel Messi and Barcelona's inability to agree a contract for a variety of reasons. I guess this is an outcome that makes sense if it is to be seen through. You know, Barca's financial troubles have been well documented, as well as Madrid's. Starting with the time, or just before the time, all of that stuff broke out about the Super League. So with that in the back burner, it was only a matter of time then that people would start making accusations that maybe this was a flex or a power play by Barca to try and get some of their own will over some other important conversations and whatnot. I personally didn't see it as a power play, but also because my brain at the moment is occupied by too many things. So I guess I didn't think about it that deeply, and I took it at face value. But as a result, I actually have a friend of mine, a friend of the podcast. Those of you who've been listening, you will know my friend Kenneth, who has done an episode previously with me. I did a recording with him earlier that I'm going to add it in as a segment of this episode. If you want to hear a lot more interesting thoughts about the Barcelona situation, he has some interesting thoughts that I thought it would be very cool for people to hear on here. So I'm gonna do a little segment of just running through like of what has been a very boring week at Arsenal and in and around the European transfer market, and then I'm gonna play integrate my recording with my guy Kenny into the episode as well. So if you want to rush to that, you can skip forward and you'll be able to hear all that Kenneth had to say. I had a few things to say, but that segment was mostly about what I thought were some very interesting thoughts that he had on the topic of Messi and Barcelona. But let's get you started. Hopefully you all are having you've had a good week and you're about to have a good weekend. And yeah, thank you for joining in and appreciate you. So really, like, there's very little going on as far as like Arsenal world. Um, Thomas Partey injury. It turns out that he will miss the first couple of games, but I didn't see a real prognosis. People are arguing, or sorry, not arguing, are reporting that it's probably going to be up to a month of him. I don't know if it's a month of him coming back, like starting to play in a month, or he's going to be out a month and then start training for a month. I'm sorry, start training after a month. So that's going to be interesting to see. But at the moment, I think it's safe to say that Arsenal are going to be without Thomas Partey when they play next Friday against Brentford. The season begins next Friday, playing against newly promoted Brentford, who are not going to be a straightforward outing, I would imagine. Highly motivated. Arsenal don't have a lot done since last season. I mean, they have a lot of good young players that I've been raving about, but I don't know how ready they are to get going first game. So that's going to be a fascinating watch to see how that evolves. I worry that Mikel Arteta will probably go with Mohamed El Neni and Granit Xhaka. I like both men and I like both players, but I'm more of a time and place for both. And I think Granit Xhaka is a good enough player to get into that game and play, and probably he will probably play the majority of the games as a starter anyway this season. It's just who will be playing next to him if we're going to play with a double pivot. Lokonga has done his chances of starting in that game no harm, but a lot of people have some reservations as to whether he should be starting so soon. Having not played in a top league. He played in the Belgian league and was the captain of his team there, but he did play for one of the better teams there, which means then his tests were not great. But on the day, I would expect Arsenal to have more of the ball than Brentford, in which case maybe he could get away with playing in that game. But then the games that follow that game are going to be much tougher. Arsenal are playing quite a lot of the strong teams in the month of August. Let me look at the schedule here real quick. Yeah, it's Brentford away, which is a London game, so it's just close to home, but there'll be fans. So it's an away game against Brentford, followed by Chelsea at home. Then it's the second round of Carabao Cup on the 25th, and then so basically after Brentford, the next two games are Chelsea, Manchester City. That's the next two games of the month of August, and then they have Norwich, Burnley. So if he's missing the first couple of games, maybe he comes back in the Norwich game. We'll see. But yeah, if Partey is not playing I guess we could probably lose those games. If you want to be optimistic, you could say Arsenal would have lost. Again, there's a chance that Arsenal would have lost against Chelsea and or against City, with or without Thomas Partey. So I guess it would have been maybe a tough one if Arsenal was playing with Partey and lost. Maybe people would still have been going crazy. But yeah, so that's basically the biggest news that have come out as far as I can remember this week. It's been a real dull week with very little to report. There's a game against Tottenham on Sunday that I'm not gonna talk too much about it because I'm starting to feel like these games are a bad idea. I know there's a lot of travel restrictions and playing the best teams available is good football wise, but the problem is Arsenal are going to be playing against Chelsea again in a couple of weeks. And I know that Tottenham is also not too far away. We're playing Tottenham in September. So, after seeing some of the things that have happened in, the Partey injury, and then what happened with Wesley Fofana against Villarreal, those kinds of injuries where you're like, man, these preseason bullshit-ass injuries that can be avoided. But I know it's football. I know it's a contact sport. But yeah, it's just hard to watch that sort of thing happen. So, yeah, playing Premier League rivals in the preseason friendly so close to the season, you could argue is not the best thing to do. But at the same time, I'm not blaming these people. Like, I don't think they were left with too many other options. So, and I know it's for a good cause, but I don't know if they should go full strength, if I'm being honest. But they probably will because you can't think negatively going into these games, and they need the players need to play and need to get ready for the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what Arteta does. If he's really getting ready to play without Partey, I think he would do best to try out a formation that would compensate for that, especially if we're going to go into that game without another signing. It might even be too tight to bring in the signing if a signing is made between now and that game. So my imagination is that Arsenal will go into that game with the players who are already in the club's books. In which case, that means then Arsenal, by the time that game kicks off, the only players who can play for them who were not there last year would be Nuno, Tavares, Sambi Lokonga, and Ben White. The rest would be the same team that finished 8th last season. So I don't think that team would struggle, or I don't expect them to anyway. It's Arsenal, anything can happen, but I don't expect them to struggle against Brentford. However, party or no party, I think it's going to be hard for that team to do anything against Chelsea, and then to do anything against Man City after that. So it's possible if Arsenal don't win against Brentford, that Arsenal could be 3 games into the season and 1 point. Or if they lose against Brentford, 3 games, 3 losses. That's very possible. When I look at the squads that Man City are working with, as well as Chelsea. Chelsea are even looking to buy Lukaku. And we are being linked with, or at least being reported to have an interest in Tammy Abraham, who I think would still be better than Edin Nketiah and maybe even be a starting centre forward at Arsenal if Alba doesn't, if Alba continues to play like he's been playing in the preseason. So, it's a very interesting one to think about. Like, this summer is, I know I've been very positive about the direction of like recruitment at Arsenal in recent weeks, and I really am, and I still am believing that's the way to go. But my thing with the expectation level, though, I worry that a lot of fans might be disappointed, because when I look at before the ball is kicked, before a ball is kicked at all by anybody, I can count 5 and maybe arguably 6 teams that have a better squad than Arsenal, player wise. Everybody in the top 4 from last year has a better squad than Arsenal. Then it's a matter of opinion between Leicester, Spurs, Everton, and Arsenal. So, if somebody else wants the other 3 teams and we have the 8th best squad, which I don't think that is the case. I think, we have a top 6 at best squad as it stands, in my opinion. Anything else would be an overachievement. But this is not the preview pod. It's just a temperature check pod, and I'm checking the temperature in terms of like how I'm feeling about our chances going into the season. I think everybody in the top 4 last year has a better squad, and we would do incredibly well to get into the top 4 ahead of any of them, even if we made more signings. But then, we also will have only just the Premier League to focus on. Maybe that's a strength, but it only remains to be seen if it will really be a strength. But I know it won't be an advantage when we play those first 3 games, because everybody will be still fresh, and it might be an advantage come mid-October all the way to the December months, like when we have that festive season schedule that's kind of like condensed. Maybe by then Arsenal will have been benefiting from having no midweek European football. But there's still a lot of things, and I said in my previous pod that there are players who are at Arsenal right now who are probably not going to be there come end of August. But it's just moving so slow. Like I said, like in the previous pod, the big deals are the deals that seemingly are getting done. Like Jack Grealish, 100 million getting done. Lukaku is probably gonna get done. Um, for over 100, from Inter to Chelsea. Messi looks like he will join PSG, but from the looks of things, as just before I hopped on to record over here, that's what I was seeing. Um, Arsenal's big deal. Ben White, sorry, Ben White is done. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a lot of like a bit of a trolley dash for cash, in the last 2 weeks of August, which could be disruptive. Starting a season with players like Kolasinac, that you probably know that you don't want there, and they know they're not wanted, but they'll still be there probably next Friday. Willian, who, if he could rediscover even 75% of who he was at Chelsea, he'd be a good player for Arsenal this year. And we might have to come to terms with him staying, because I don't know who's going to take him at those wages at his age, especially after stinking up the joint all of last year. He really stunk up the joint at the Emirates and everywhere he went with Arsenal. So I don't know who's going to want to do us that favor. Um, so we have a lot of players at the moment who, maybe we're placing too much value on them, or the market is aware that Arsenal needs to get rid of players, and so they are basically lowballing the fuck out of every deal, and then, you know, seeing who's gonna blink first, because last year Arsenal said no to some decent offers and then left themselves hamstrung. I wonder if they're gonna be, that ballsy again, this year, to say no to offers that don't meet their valuation, and therefore end up having to, go in with a bloated squad. That's going to be fascinating. I don't know what route they're gonna go, and we will find out together. But yeah, I just thought I would speak a little bit about, give a little tease. I'm gonna do like a season preview pod, next week, where I'll kind of like look at all the positions going in. But like that to me is more urgent than the next game. I know usually the most important game is the next game in football, and that's Tottenham. But to be quite honest, I couldn't be fucked to care about that game at this point, because I'm more concerned about you know squad construction, resales, or like finding a way to solve some of these problems. I know that this is not unique to just Arsenal, but I'm talking about Arsenal right now. So, yeah, I do hope that you know the transfer market starts picking up, and maybe it will. But like, it's hard to see other teams like making some deals, like fucking Aston Villa. They just made 100 million, and they've already basically replaced quietly, but they already replaced Jack Grealish. And I liked what he did. The CEO did, in terms of like coming out and being so transparent, speaking to the fans, very candidly, he was very open about the whole process, and even explained. Even though I'm not a Villa fan, I was like, whoa, this is awesome. He was like, yep, we knew that we could never replace Jack Grealish with just another one player, and we also knew that we couldn't continue to be over reliant on one player, and so we found three players who will give us what Jack will give. So. I mean, that's smart. That is smart business. Now I don't know if all of them will succeed at the same level, but man, the potential is great, because Danny Ings, if he stays fit, and that's a very big if he stays fit, because he gets injured all the time. He's a proven goal scorer in England. And then the other two, Buendia, I wanted him at Arsenal, so I can't then talk shit about that deal. That's a really good player. And then Leon Bailey is a player Arsenal has been linked with in the past too, and I would have not, been mad about him going to Arsenal before we discovered Saka. So and before we bought Pepe. So now we don't need Bailey for sure, but he's a player I would have been happy with a season or two ago, or 2 seasons when we bought Pepe. he probably would have been a cheaper and much better, cost effective, but also just like effective as a player option. But I don't know what the prices would have been at the time because, but they got good deals for all these players. I mean, they still got change from all those three players. I think Emi Buendia they got for like 32 million pounds. I know it's supposed to rise closer to 40, but let's say worst case they pay 40. They got Ings for what, 25 million pounds, and then Leon Bailey for around 30 million pounds. That's worst case 40 for Buendia, 65 plus 30. That's 95 million pounds, and I know they're probably not going to pay 40 for Buendia. They're probably going to end up paying close to 30 to 35. But that's pretty slick, man. That's fucking good business and smart by them. So I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that level of effectiveness and that level of transparency with fan communication. So shout out to Aston Villa for you know, and they can fuck off about Smith Rowe, but shout out to them for the way they've handled their business and the way they're moving. You know, it's really good to see teams that are well run starting to flex muscles. So yeah, besides that, like, you know, I don't wanna talk too long about the Tottenham game. First of all, if I do get to watch it, I'll then talk about it. But last time I tried, I don't know if other people in the US or abroad had the similar problem. I think the Arsenal credit card machines crashed or something because everybody was trying to join in at the same time. You know, during the Chelsea game, so I kept trying to purchase that game and I couldn't. So, you know, for those of you who get to watch it, enjoy it, and those of you you know, who don't get to enjoy it, like myself, probably, we will talk on Monday during the preview podcast. But I do have a little bonus guest appearance for today's episode, so enjoy it. Some good thoughts from my boy Kenny, and we had a pretty good conversation, and I'm going to be looking to do more and more things like this, at least one Friday a month. I'm going to try to do what I'm going to call Freestyle Fridays, where, you know, I can venture out and do different topics or have a guest come and talk about stuff. And if any of you guys as well out there, you know, have you would like to come on the pod and talk about, you know, something you're really passionate about, like, we can obviously talk offline and try to, you know, create an episode that would, you know, work out for you to be a guest feature. I'm very open to that sort of thing. Looking to build a community of football loving folks and sports loving folks. So yeah, the opportunity is there. You know, I'm not going to be too aggressive with it. I'm also not going to be too aggressive with the Freestyle Fridays, but I'm going to try at least once a month to do something that's not like my normal topics, which are going to revolve around the Premier League, Spanish La Liga, a little bit of Liga 1, definitely a lot of Serie A and Bundesliga. So, you know, if I'm along those lines, you know, if they're fans of other clubs, or, you know, like, especially when certain clubs are about to play my team, and it'd be nice to kind of like have people come on. If you are interested in doing that, shoot me a message either via the email on my website, or you can respond directly to the content that I put out in the comments section. All right. Hope you guys are gonna enjoy the next little bit. I had a lot of fun talking to Kenny, and yeah, check it out. Look forward to hearing your opinions as and when you have the opportunity to do so. And if you're enjoying the content, please you know, give us a rating. We're on Apple Podcast, we are on Spotify, we're on Anchor, and several other places where people find their podcast. All right. Thank you for your support. I'll talk to you guys on Monday. But yeah, for now, I'm leaving you with my boy Kenny. Cheers. Hey guys, if you're thinking about a way to start your own podcast, I would encourage you to check out Anchor if you haven't heard of it. It's a free platform where you can create your own podcast, distribute it, having all the editing tools for free. all in one place. Check it out. Download the Anchor app for free on your iPhone or Google phone, whatever phone you have. It's a smartphone. You can find the app by downloading it or go to anchor.fm to get started. Check it out. Cheers.
Danny, my guy.
Bones, what's going on, man?
It's going, brother. It is going. It's going, man. Just in between things at the moment, so I thought it would be nice to catch up with you so that I can get you in on this week's end of week pod because I was very busy during the week, and when the news came out yesterday about Messi leaving, um, I thought just like, oh wow, this was in a long time coming. I didn't really think through about what some of the other threads could be around the issue. And so when you shared your opinions, I thought it might be cool for people to hear that, or see, or you know what I mean, like just provoke a little bit more thinking around this stuff because with a deal as big as this one, for example, like it's just yeah, it's always going to be a lot more than just a player moving from one club to another or just leaving a club. So I'm doing okay, but I was just like, when I heard you say that or read your messages in our conversation, I was like, man, this would be really, really cool. So, but other than that, man, work is started and family life is a little bit hectic, but won't get into too much into that right now. It's just yeah, my sleeping patterns are off the whack, bro. But we'll talk about that offline. We'll talk about that offline.
They probably match up with the Olympic schedule, at least. I'm sure you've been able to watch some of these events live instead of the recorded versions.
Bro, yeah, pretty much. Or chat with family in South Africa during during their morning, which never happens. you know. But yeah, man, what's good with you? What's good with you?
Man, life is good. Life is good. This is my last Friday off before we start going back to 5 days a week here. The U.S. just beat Mexico in the Gold Cup final, so I'm pretty happy about that. For me, this is a little bit slower of a time for the sports here. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but knowing that EPL, La Liga start up next weekend gives me something to look forward to. And then we got one hell dropped yesterday afternoon regarding Messi. And so that's definitely going to give us some drama. I know there's going to be story after story, leak after leak coming out in the next, 48 to 72 hours. And we'll see where this man ends up if he stays in Barca, which seems like is not in the question, but it's definitely given us a lot to think about, and it's kind of shocked the sports world. I mean, if you go on Instagram right now, it's just post after post after post about this situation.
Yeah. And what are you seeing? What are you seeing people say? And before we get to your thoughts or your initial thoughts, right? Like this is like I just to clarify here, we are not speaking as in like within any inside scoop or anything. We're just reading tea leaves and kind of like um, stretching our brains around what could be the possible scenarios coming out of this. Just for people listening in, later on, I just wanted to frame that. That's the point of this conversation. Just like processing this information out loud with people and having people share their thoughts and ideas. Either from this conversation or from different conversations they've heard.
Absolutely, man. I have never heard the phrase egg on my face, but since you started this pod up, I've heard you say it countless amount of times. And, I very well may end up with egg on my face. And
Yeah.
maybe this man signs with PSG tomorrow or who knows what happens. But, I've seen a lot of things on social media. Yesterday, I did kind of a deep dive. It was a rabbit hole, one of those things where you just go from article to article about this situation. And while I've seen a lot, it's more so what I smell. And I smell fish, bro. It smells too fishy. No one's opening cans of tuna in my house, but I smell the fish, man. And so that's what really kind of triggered the deep dive is I started doing a little bit more reading, and in my mind, like you said, as a total outsider, some may say simpleton, it just smells fishy. It didn't all add up. The math wasn't all there. If you check the math, I don't think it's correct. And I think there is more to this story than the actual bits released by La Liga. Messi's camp really hasn't released anything other than, just him being shocked and sad with the situation. So I feel now, is it foul play? I don't know. That's a theory that some have postulated online, and one that I kind of agree with. But I smell fish, bro. What was your initial reaction? Do you
So
think that this is legit? Do you think there's more to it?
so in between, so at the moment in my life, like I said, my life has changed drastically, and I've been, trying to work on different stories. Like I just wrote a piece and like published it like on the Lakers, and so I'm doing a lot of things. So when this came out, it came out at a time where I was in the middle of like trying to, figure out a few things, trying to meet my deadlines that I've set for myself for like, releasing pods and writing and all this kind of stuff. So to be quite honest, I took it at face value, man. Like I literally took it at face value. I was like, I even posted something, I actually wrote about like, thanking Messi in a way. I mean, not that he was going to read my post, but like, I was like, hey, it was a good run that ran over 2 decades. Like the guy got there when he was like 12 years old with like growth issues and whatever. So I went down that road. I was like, like I thought he would be a one club man, and so I went kind of down like the romantic memory lane gratitude route without thinking at all. Like, so that's why I was like, whoa, when you said that, I was like, holy shit balls. Like there's another way to look at this, right? So I went totally down like thankfulness and like that runs do come to an end. And maybe this is an indicator of how American sports have shaped me around, departures of players from because coming from where I come from, like this would be probably would have hit even harder. But like since moving to the States and like and consuming more American sports, I see a lot more movement. Like about a week
Right.
ago, I was tweeting about how free agency was active for like 8 hours, and there were more deals completed within that 8 hours to 12 hours than the entire transfer window in Europe. I was making a joke on Twitter about it. Because like players just move, man, here. Like they move mid-season, they move before a game, they move. They just always get just shifted around. And so I was kind of like, taking a pause to just say, okay, this is happening. A few people asked me, where do I think he's going to go? And I was like, there's only like, a handful of teams that can afford him. I know he's not going to go to the Far East, So I immediately accepted it. Like, that's basically what I'm trying to say. So I accepted that he's leaving because I was also well aware of Barcelona's, financial stupidity, if I can call it that, the way they've been running the club. And so, over 20 years of his time there, so I thought, it's well worth a try to have another challenge. I know he's 34, but like he's still got some really good football years left in him. Like I think the way his style of play is, he could probably play in like a deeper midfield role, creative midfield role, or behind a striker and still play another 4 years, right? Like the way he plays. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I thought City, I thought Chelsea, I thought maybe United, if they wanted to dare bring him to England. I thought those three teams from England could bring him. And then I thought PSG. And this is before, I read anything about it. So for me, I just accepted that he's leaving because I don't know how they bring him back. And then, you gave me the biggest curveball about this. And then another guy that I listened to actually after talking to you, another guy, he's a British man, Englishman, I think. Tim Vickery is his name. He basically covers South American football extensively, and spoke about this and spoke about it in a similar way to what you had said. So I was like, you know what? This would be interesting for me to kind of engage in a convo, cash. So basically, that's why I wanted you to come on today and just, share your thoughts. Like, I know these are not like facts. I don't think you think they are too, but like, it's a very interesting thought process to kind of like bring into the space, because I clearly hadn't thought of it, and I'm sure some other people hadn't either. So with that said, I actually want to just open the floor up to you and just share some of your own thoughts. Like, take your own time, do it whichever way you want to. This is like Freestyle Friday kind of thing, no real structure. So go for it.
Hey, we're like Nasty Nas. That album is sick, man. If y'all haven't had a chance to listen to it, it is great. But like Bone said, we're just gonna hit this record button and lay some stuff down. So this is definitely me putting my tinfoil hat on. That's how I prefaced my text message to you yesterday. Just doing some thinking, having that little sliver of conspiracy in the air, and to just kind of set things up, I guess, for the audience. The biggest red flag for me, and the thing that I'm really struggling to understand, is how a room of accountants that surely work for Barcelona could get to this point. It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like anyone who can use Microsoft Excel and can put together a budget sheet would know ahead of time whether they're in the green or in the red based on this new contract. It sounds like the terms had been agreed to weeks ago, and come to find out yesterday, when Messi comes in, I guess they flew in he and his father to Barcelona, that the deal was not going to be able to go through based on financial fair play, based on the La Liga salary cap, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's something I'm really struggling to understand. I don't see how that mistake could have been made, how it could not have been known ahead of time. Now, I will say that maybe there's a chance that over the last few weeks, the Barca board thought maybe they can get rid of a Griezmann, maybe they can let go of some of the other, an Umtiti, a Coutinho, maybe they can get rid of some of these wages that are on their bill and end up in the green. But at the same time, they started this transfer period signing Kuna, signing Emerson, signing Memphis Depay. I believe two of those three were free transfers, so they're just adding on to the wage bill. But if you're already a team in debt, if you know ahead of time that you may not be able to make this Messi signing happen, in which he reportedly reduces wages 50%. He's almost doing the American Tom Brady thing, where you kind of give a sweetheart deal to the team, a local discount, and they still weren't able to make this deal. I just have the hardest time wrapping my mind around that. So that's one. Number two is the timing of all of this. Apparently yesterday, or I guess now it's the day before yesterday, La Liga proposed a new deal with CVC Capital. I think it's a Luxembourg financial company, to essentially sell 10% of La Liga's capital for about 2.7 billion. I don't know if it's American dollars or pounds. Forgive me for the conversion rate, but 50 years of their rights. So it's a 50-year contract to 2071, which is insane. And apparently the board who is in charge of proposing this and putting it up to a vote is a 7-member committee, of which neither Real Madrid nor Barcelona had a representative or had a voice amongst that committee.
Wow.
So for that deal to go through the day before yesterday, and then for all of the sudden Barca to come out with this news the day after, I think it had to have been done on purpose. I think this was a reaction from Barcelona to really shed some light on this deal that may or may not go through. I guess it still has to go through. I don't know if it's a 2/3 vote, a majority vote amongst the other teams in the first and second division of La Liga. But maybe they do want to throw this out there and threaten to have Messi leave. I think Messi leaving hurts La Liga. I think it's going to reduce every team's revenue. I mean, if you think about all the other 19 teams in the first division, anytime Barcelona comes to town, that's got to be a sellout crowd for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure those crowds will probably still have fantastic attendance numbers with Messi or without him. But the
Yeah.
jersey sales and
I think the impact you just said something that made me think of other things as well, actually. Like just think about TV deals too, right? Like people watching on TV. So being sports or whoever has the TV rights to La Liga, when I don't know when the next negotiation will be, but like if people start watching less, because the guy is a pull. He's a pull. So I hear what you're saying. Keep going though, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. He's for sure a pull. And this man still has it. We saw what he did. He put Argentina on his back, has some great moments. And I think that he's this Argentina squad going into the 2022 World Cup. So he's got a ton of incentive to keep going tip top shape. And I really think that it just doesn't add up. Again, when you look at the responsibility your accounting team has, when you think about the timing of this news coming out, the transfer window for Barcelona doesn't, or for La Liga doesn't close until September, I believe. So it's barely to figure something out to maybe still sell some players. I know that a representative from Barca's board came out today and said that he didn't want to sell false hope to his fans, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy it, and maybe I'll end up with egg on my face. And this man is wearing a PSG jersey next year. Maybe he's on Man City playing with Grealish, but it just didn't add up. Another theory that I saw online was that maybe Barca knew this all along, and they just kind of strung everybody along. They released their new home and away kits. They are selling season tickets. What the COVID situation is like in Spain, but I'm sure they're hoping to have fans in the stands. Maybe they're selling tickets, maybe they're making sponsorship deals, and just kind of leading everyone along. And now they've made some money and are ready to kind of turn the page. That also makes sense to me. I don't think I would put that out of the question.
Let me see if I understand that second point. You think they knew all along he would leave, but waited to announce it until they had done some negotiations?
Right. And like I
Like
said,
for like funding and all of that, like sponsorship deals or selling shirts.
Yeah, absolutely. Jersey sales. And like I said, this is another, just theory I saw online, but it made more sense to me. That makes more sense to me. And that's in front of us. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm being a little bit too much of a conspiracy theorist here, but into it, just the more it didn't make sense, the more it didn't feel right. And I'm really curious to see how this story unravels itself. And if we take a look back, this really is a story that's been going on for over a year now. There was that whole thing with Messi having an opt-out clause in his contract last year. We heard rumors of Man City offering, I think it was like 100 million plus Eric Garcia plus Angelino, and I think even Gabby Jesus. And Barca didn't take the deal. Now, whether it was really offered, I'm not 100% sure, but at least that was the rumors coming out. So this is a long-standing situation. I'm surprised that we didn't hear more about this throughout the course of the season, throughout the beginning of the offseason. It kind of made it seem like Messi was wanting to come back, which I genuinely believe that he does want to. I think him willing to reduce his wages by 50% is evidence enough of his willingness to come back. About it, and now all of a sudden, with 3 weeks left in the transfer window, we get this bombshell. So I don't think the actions of Barcelona since then have made sense. I don't think the release makes sense. I wouldn't even be surprised. Neymar posted, I guess, the day before yesterday, that photo of Messi hanging out with the PSG crew. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Barca board owner who Cash App or Venmo or whatever Neymar a little bit asked him to post the picture just to leave some breadcrumbs out there, just to hype the media up and make this threat that Messi could leave not only Barcelona, but what looks like, if you take a step back, all of La Liga going into this next year. So
Yeah.
maybe to the
Yeah. I
audience,
mean,
I
I
sound
think,
like a crazy person, but
no, you don't. I think for me, like on the things you said, right? Like the first one you said, sounds to me like if I was to go in that on that line of thinking, that's what I would buy the most. The stuff about him and the Instagram, which I understand why people would make that link, but like it's Neymar who is one of his best footballing friends, right? They used to play together at Barca, and Messi, and there were a lot of public reports last year that Messi was trying to get Neymar back to Barca to play with him, because Neymar just only recently just signed an extension, right? At
right.
PSG. So we know they like playing together. And then the rest of the guys on that picture, they're Argentines, and then Marco Verratti, right? Fine, it's PSG, but they're all in holidays. Spain and France. I think they're in France in that picture. I think. Like these are rich guys, right? Who can fly around in private jets and they can hang
Sure.
out. Like there's a lot of Argentines. I think Di Maria is in the picture. I think Leandro, the midfield kid, man, I forget his name. Paredes. Yeah, Leandro Paredes is on the picture. Yeah, I saw the picture. But I didn't read too much into it because I was like, yep, these are his Argentina international teammates. The only guy he's never played on the same team with there was Marco Verratti. So like I was like, this stuff with PSG came about. And you know what? I can see him going to Paris. Paris is a likable city. The league there is much more friendly. He wouldn't need to play so much. He could rack up a lot of goals when he did play, and win a couple more Champions League. Playing with Messi and Mbappe, like that's sorry, playing with Neymar and Mbappe. So like that would be a very a good thing actually. It would probably push Mbappe to center forward where he likes to play anyway. Neymar would probably play in his preferred position on the left wing, and then Messi would come off the right. And then you still have a very strong bench. Like no matter who's on the bench there, you're always going to have good players at PSG today. So I get that, and I think PSG is a realistic destination. PSG could bail Barca out of this financial crisis, actually by buying maybe one or two other players, like because Barca needs to. I like what you were saying about, for me, balance the balance sheet. I think the balance sheet argument is very strong in terms of like maybe they are trying to push back. But my wonder, Kenny, what would they be trying to push back against with are they pushing against the idea of a salary cap, or what are they pushing back against, like in this negotiation with the La Liga and all these upcoming decisions to be made?
I think that so Barca's a have, right? They're not a have not. This is one of the richest teams in the world. Granted, they're close to $1 billion in debt, but at the end of the day, they've got the history, they've got the brand recognition, they've got all these assets, right? So they're one of the haves. They're one of the teams involved in the whole Super League proposal that came out earlier in the year, and I think that they are very aware that they would rather hang on to 100% of their future revenue in La Liga versus 90% of that, plus a chunk of that 2.7 billion, however it gets spread out amongst the teams in the Spanish Federation. I think that to them, especially going forward for the next 50 years, I mean, who signs 50-year contracts in anything these days? That's a wild number.
Yeah.
But I think they would rather keep that money, and I think in the long run they understand, hey, this is probably a better value for us than to make this deal right now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh well, this is a lot of interesting stuff. I'm sure that people will have a lot to chew on over there, and they can call you if they want to talk to you directly. Yeah, Twitter account.
No, I'm not really active on social media.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure what the best way would be. Maybe if there's a way that they can
They can
maybe
leave comment.
comment on the blog,
Yeah,
comment on the post, and I can figure out a way. I would love to hear people's feedback, and maybe there are some theories out there that we haven't even thought about. I would love to know.
yeah,
I was joking with you, or not joking, but making the point with you earlier today that there's going to be some more nuggets to come out. Don Robbie sent out that post a little bit ago saying that PSG would not be able to afford Messi based on the financial fair play, and that they might need to get rid of somebody like an Mbappe. Would they even want to do that? Is this B even true? I know this season they signed Donnarumma on a free. They've brought in Hakimi. And spending money as well. So will they be an actual potential suitor of Messi? Will they not? There's so much to come out, so much more to learn. I'm really curious to see what happens. Like I said, this gives us some nice some nice juicy meat to chew on this next week before the league gets started. It's crazy to think that through everything La Liga, I think Barca plays Real Sociedad this coming Sunday at 1 o'clock. So not this
yeah,
one, but this Sunday afterwards.
yeah. The Premier League also starts that weekend.
Right. So it's going to
Yeah,
be crazy, man. And maybe
yeah,
I sound crazy, like I said, but I'm really curious to see what the people have to say, if anyone agrees, or what the case may be.
yeah. So what I'll do, I mean, like the pod will go on obviously on the blog page as well. What I'll do as well is to share it on YouTube or wherever people listen to their pods, there'll be a way to find and comment, and then I'll you mean you're a friend of the podcast, so you'll come back at different times anyway if we need to have a follow up on this, or when we do other topics, we can always have this as a literal footnote on a different conversation. Got it. Poor poor English word play by me, but I can get away with it because it's my fucking second language anyway. So I'll always play that card. I don't play the race card a lot, but I do play the second language card a bunch. Yeah. Anyway, man. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, man. And yeah, I like being able to do something like this from time to time, and deviate from the normal Arsenal very heavy content. I mean, I love talking Arsenal. I can talk Arsenal all the time, but I like I said in my previous conversations, when this comes up, I'm a football fan first, and love the game, and I love the cultural experiences that it brings, and I like the different friendships and community aspect of this whole thing as well. Just sports in general. So I'm quite keen on integrating opportunities to branch out and talk about different things, and every once in a while. I mean, I flipping wrote a blog on the fucking NBA. My first NBA proper writing piece just came out this morning. So yeah, I welcome opportunities to talk about everything, and I think we should definitely try to, at some point, like maybe once a month. I'm going to try myself to do something different anyway, but maybe as the NFL season approaches, I would like to talk about some of those things we're chatting about offline. If and when the time felt right.
Let's do it, man. This is always fun. Like I said the first time, this is literally the same conversation we would have if we were out having beers at a bar. So being able to record it, have others listen to it, is a really cool opportunity. So I thank you, man. As a FootyNotes fan, I'm glad the pod, it looks like you're back to your regular schedule. And it's been fun hearing you talk about the ins and outs of the Arsenal transfer rumors. I don't think that Arsenal has absolutely any chance of signing Messi, but I'm sure maybe they sent that post like pretty much every other team did as a joke about the news yesterday. So thanks for the opportunity, man. I know this is a crazy time for all of us. We've got this Delta variant BS. Everybody's so sick of it. So for us to have football coming back in a week, for us to have this kind of stuff to talk about and just take our minds off the again, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I can hop back on another episode.
All right, man. Talk to you soon for sure. You're always welcome, man. Yep.
All right, man. Bye.
All right, cheers, brother.